Hi, and welcome to Sixcess Stories. We are your hosts, Christina Gent.
And Eric Ozarowski.
And this is where we share real conversations with the members of the 6 Degrees community about life, leadership, and the power of meaningful connection. And on this episode, we got to talk to our longest standing member of 6 Degrees, Scott Schechter, who is a financial advisor with Eagle Strategies.
Yeah, in this episode with Scott, we talk about his journey of becoming a championship sailor. We get into his career path and his corporate experience and how he really wanted to make an impact and work with the people that he actually gets to work with now more closely. We talk about mentorship and how that has impacted his career and led him to actually support the next generation of financial advisors, and because it was so impactful for him. And get into a little bit about the origins of his passion for cooking. And we haven't had any of his food yet, but from everything that he shared, is very, very passionate about meals and cooking. And it sounds like him and his wife cook every day.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that invite for risotto. He mentioned that on this episode, and Eric and I freaking love risotto.
Yeah, what was the deal? Risotto for cake?
Yeah, risotto for cake, I think
trade?
was the trade, because he asked if I'd bring the cake, and I said, my mom would love to make the cake. It's a really fun episode, just getting to know Scott a little bit better and deeper, so please enjoy this episode of Sixcess Stories.
Well, thanks for being here. Happy Friday. Thanks for coming out. Appreciate you. The way we typically start these is with a check-in, kind of like we do with the groups. So it's Friday. So how would you describe your week for each of us? How would each of us describe the week in 1 or 2 words?
Really busy. Really busy week. I'm looking forward to next week that's less busy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so fast. And I know that's been a trend for this whole month of August. And so it just continues. This week feels so fast. When someone said Happy Friday today for the first time, I was like, oh shit, it's Friday. Like, we're at Friday already, and it's a long weekend, and here we are.
Yeah, mine was just holiday weekend. The fact that it's Labor Day is crazy to me, and this month went, so just kind of a blur. So.
Summer just disappeared.
Right?
Yeah.
You were traveling a little bit, right?
A little bit, not a lot. We went to Chicago, then Isabel was traveling, but I was mostly around, did some sailing this summer. It was awesome.
Yeah. Did some sailing with Roz. We heard about that, which was really cool.
Yeah, we had a good time, Roz and I.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been racing also on the bay. There's been a lot of racing on the bay the last month or so.
That's so
Great
fun.
to get out, yeah. Yeah.
Had you been racing a lot? I feel like
the last couple of years, no, but this summer I've gotten back to it, so it's been great to be back out there and racing more, so that's fun.
Was there something that sparked wanting to get back out and racing?
I've been wanting to get back out, but there was just kind of this inertia of not doing it, and then I was introduced to somebody. They were really looking for someone like me on their crew to help out and with their program, and it was just a great fit, and I really enjoyed being on the boat, so it's great. Yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit more about just the sailing part. Like, how did you get into it? Obviously, like you've talked about, you've won some racing championships.
Yeah, so I started sailing when I was a little kid, but I didn't start racing until I was in college. I just walked onto the sailing team, and I knew how to sail, and I was pretty good at it from the outset when I started racing. And when I finished college, it's really a sport you can continue with your whole life.
Sure.
I mean, I've sailed with 80-year-olds and I've sailed with 10-year-olds. So it's a versatile sport that you can really maintain. And in my 30s, I was really with a championship team, and we managed to win a national championship. And
so cool.
At that time, I was sailing, 4 times a week, and it was a lot of fun and a great time. I'm a little older now, and things have slowed down, so I like being, we have a good time out there, and winning is more fun. but it's not the end all be all. So we have a good time out there, and it's great to get out. So
Yeah. And so it sounds like you've been able to kind of scratch that itch a little bit more recently.
yeah, absolutely.
When you're racing now, like what does that look like? Tell me a little bit. I don't know what a sailboat race.
So I race
looks
on like a 36-foot boat.
Okay.
We've got usually race with 8 or 9 people on the boat, somewhere around there. And I tend to be in the middle of the boat, either trimming the mainsail, the big sail and back, or potentially sort of managing all the lines in the middle of the boat, making sure everything's going in the right place, adjusting them,
Sure.
things like that, coaching some of the younger sailors on their sail trim.
How many people will be on a team or
Yeah,
in the
so
boat?
the boat that I'm on is usually 8 or 9 people on the boat when we're racing, so right around that number.
Would you say that your role is kind of the operational piece of making
Yeah,
sure, like,
oftentimes it's the operational piece, or each person has a job, and I can do a couple different, I'm pretty versatile.
Yeah.
But on this boat, I've kind of migrated to that operational kind of role. Something I'm good at, so it's good.
Yeah, no, I love it. We went out the one time, and I've been out maybe twice sailing, and I just love the metaphor or how much business and how much life is just like sailing, right? There's so many parallels to it, and just being on the water, for me personally, I don't know if that's been your experience as well. Just
I certainly have learned a lot from sailing. I think until right after we won the national championship in 2003, we were trailering the boat back to Chicago from Cleveland, where the regatta was.
yeah,
And the skipper of the boat, he said, he looked at me, he said, how does it feel to be a national champion? And I look back, he's an incredible sailor.
Yeah.
And I said, I feel like I hitched my cart to the right horse.
sure.
And he paused and he says, I can see how you would feel that way, but I want you to know that you had a job in this regatta, and you did that job perfectly.
Yeah.
I was definitely not the best sailor on that boat.
Sure.
But it wasn't about my being able to do or be the best sailor. It was about my being able to do the job that I had on that boat at the time I was there. It's sort of like the running back doesn't win the Super Bowl, but he plays his role and
Yeah,
does
starring in my role, right?
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. So
Yeah, I love that.
that was
Well, and kudos to him for pointing that out too, right? Yes, it takes a whole team, and each individual person is very pivotal to the team winning the championship.
yeah, but it was a big lesson for me just in that conversation to really understand what it was to be part of a team.
Mm-hmm.
How does that show up now as someone that's more of in this solopreneur role? Obviously, you have support, but how does the team dynamic or the importance of understanding the relationships that happen either with your clients or with the team, how does that translate?
Yeah, I think, there are times I've been better at that and not
Sure.
as good, but
Of course.
I think, understanding what your role is in a certain situation and what you are there to accomplish is very important. And you're not going to be all things to all people,
Yeah.
nor should you even strive for that. But understanding your role, and my role, if I'm talking to my assistant or I'm dealing with back office stuff, is different than if I am dealing with clients.
Sure.
And when I'm dealing with clients, I think the objectivity is incredibly important because people really get wrapped up in their own finances, and it can be a very emotional topic. And my being at least somewhat empathetic, but at the same time providing a hard stop, an objective point of view to look at somebody and say, I get this is hard, and here is a path, here's a route, here's how to look at things in a certain way that's going to be helpful to you, sort of not give in to their emotional needs completely, sure, is ultimately going to benefit them. And they appreciate, I find also. So understanding that role, that I'm not there to be a therapist.
Right.
I'm there to be a financial advisor is a very important thing.
Yeah. Well, I love what you said about communication, right? So then, and understanding that with my team or with my support staff, my assistant, I'm going to communicate differently, because that's what really translated to me or resonated with me when I was on your boat. There's 4 of us, but it's like how direct you needed to be to, hey, like this needs to get done now, right? And just the conciseness to it. And then obviously, like when we're done, it's more of a conversation and we're talking in a different manner. There's this constant, I've just experienced is like the directness that's, if this doesn't go the way it's supposed to, like the boat flips or whatever happens, right?
Yeah.
Which I learned is pretty much impossible on a sailboat.
Well, depends on the kind of boat, but
with what we were in.
Yeah. And that is such a good metaphor, because that's part of, so you as the expert might be bringing on someone else who is somewhat knowledgeable about how to sail, and then maybe someone who's brand new. And so understanding where everyone's level's at with their relationship to sailing, and then also maybe even their comfort level, right? Like I might be trying sailing for the first time, and maybe I'm actually terrified because of whatever reasons I have. And so how that also relates to, like you said, everyone has a different relationship with money, and it is a very, very vulnerable thing to even talk about. Even Eric and I, we've discussed like our relationship to money, or the way that we view money, is very different because we grew up very, very different. I mean, it was just my mom and I, right? My mom is a single parent, and I mean, she definitely struggled financially. We've had food stamps, we've done all those things. And I know, your parents were split, but you had a lot of support from your parents. And so our relationship, even just in our marriage, is different to money and how we view it and how it makes us feel. And so having that understanding with each client is also going to have a different relationship, and we have to be able to know how to approach each person.
Yeah, and each person. So if I were working with you, you guys to me are one client. You're a married couple, but at the same time, my communication to each of you has to be tailored a little bit differently based on your background, your view of money, how money activates you. Mm-hmm. And so that can be a real challenge when I'm in the room with a couple of people that need communication. And honestly, the most difficult part about it is not so much that, but it's when a spouse interrupts their spouse. Mm-hmm. Because people get real, or I find it even more sometimes if I'm meeting with a parent and their adult child.
Oh.
And the child can be very activated or whatever by a thing their parent does because they've lived with that their entire life, and it's something is difficult for them, and I'm thinking to myself, well, that's just the parent being a human being expressing something or some uncertainty. And I get that it's frustrating for the kid, but my role then is to try to intercede a little bit and let the parent or the spouse really express what it is that they need to express in order to feel heard in that moment.
I appreciate the language of activate, not triggered. I'm interested in why that. I haven't heard that. When you say activate, I'm associating it with triggered, but that might not be actually
to me, triggered is more difficult, or like a real problem. These are, I would say, smaller issues that are just going on in the nuances of communication.
Yeah.
It's not like somebody has PTSD or something. Maybe I view the word trigger wrong, but that's
no. I think it's lovely. It's lovely to have for so many people, triggered is this very heavy, deep, dark kind of like negative connotation. Activate sounds more positive, maybe possibly a little bit lighter.
Yeah,
I appreciate that perspective. You've shared this story a couple times in the groups, but I'd love to kind of go back and have you talk about how you got into financial advising, because obviously we have the Chicago connection.
Yeah.
Are you born and raised in Chicago?
No, I grew up in Minnesota.
Okay.
And I moved to Chicago for college at Northwestern.
Yep.
And, then I got a graduate degree at the University of Chicago. I thought I was going to live in Chicago the rest of my life. I was there for 25 years.
Yeah.
And one day my wife told me that she wasn't going to have winter anymore. And I thought that would blow over, but it didn't. And we moved to San Diego 11 years ago.
Yeah.
And we wanted weather and nature, and here we are. But the way that I got into the business was interesting. I don't have really a common background for being a retail financial advisor. I was actually in institutional finance, and I helped manage a couple $1 billion equity portfolio, mainly in international markets. And there aren't a lot of people that go from institutional finance to retail finance, but I remember I was in my office one day and I was looking out the window on Michigan Avenue, and there's people walking up and down.
Yeah.
And I thought, there's somebody down there who has a pension, and that pension fund gives us, maybe a couple $100 million to manage, but I'm never going to impact the life of that person walking up Michigan Avenue right now.
Right.
And I really developed this desire to want to sit down with people and actually impact them in a way that was more meaningful. And I did a lot of informational interviewing, tried to figure out how the industry worked and how it would work for me, and ultimately found a place to build a practice the way that I wanted. And, here I am today, almost 24 years later, still doing it. So obviously it's worked out well. I enjoy it. And I don't lose relation. I mean, I'm working with the same people today that I was working with 24 years ago.
Right.
I mean, obviously I have more people, but it's not like I've lost clients and now it's new people. I still work with all the people in Chicago.
Yeah.
Everybody that started working with me over the years. So that's really rewarding, is to see, you start working with somebody and their kids like 3 and now they're in college or they're getting married. It's really rewarding to see the progression of families and the small role that I play.
Front row seats. Front row seats to just watch someone's life. Right?
Yeah.
And I think it speaks volumes to have those relationships decades later. Plus, thank you for kind of sharing that, because I know I don't know that you've heard the Michigan Avenue sitting up top and kind of like, how do I help that person?
Yeah.
Right? Because most people go the other way, just trying to get to everything that you talked about from the corner office.
I think, the epiphany I had was I could make a lot of money, but that wasn't going to be very rewarding. And I needed, I don't have anything against money. I certainly don't, but it's not everything, and it's not going to bring happiness or anything.
What's the most rewarding part of the last 24 years for you?
I think it is the relationships and feeling like I'm making a difference. I can point at times and really think about them when I've made a big difference for people.
Do you have an example?
I mean, the easiest examples to relate to are a couple times when I've implemented pretty big life insurance policies and then somebody dies.
Yeah, sure.
And, a lot of people don't want to spend money on life insurance, but I will tell you, when somebody dies, I'm the only one showing up with a check.
It's not the thing to say I told you so about.
Yeah,
Right.
It's not the thing to say. It's definitely not. But you show up with an 8-figure check to a family in mourning, and it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of other things. Many years ago, I had a client, and they received an inheritance. And they called me one day, and these people also made a good living. It's not like they were struggling. And they called me one day. They're like, we keep running out of money. I don't know why.
Yeah.
And they couldn't figure it out. And doing a dive, I basically figured this inheritance was wonderful for them. But like most people, they didn't really consider the fact that when you have investments, you have to pay taxes on the earnings on their investments. So they get a tax bill at the end of the year that was enormous and really drained their cash flow. But it kind of goes unnoticed, right? Because instead of a tax refund, you're just having withholding and you don't get that tax refund, or however it worked out. They couldn't connect the dots, and being able to tell them, this doesn't work. You have to pay the tax out of the portfolio,
Right.
so that you are not sacrificing your life in order to maintain this inheritance that you got. That wasn't why they gave you money.
Right.
Was for you guys to cut back your life and have
struggle.
Well,
Yeah.
it's such a really good example that I think this happens so often is in sports, right? So often the people who are going into these pro sports, they probably didn't grow up with a lot of money, and then now here they are with these like millions of dollars in a contract and thinking, oh, now I have millions of dollars, and not understanding the taxes and everything else. Like, I got to pay my agent. There's all these things that I have to pay. So yes, like I might be like quote unquote worth, or my contract is worth millions of dollars, but what I have to spend is way less than that. And people just start, they'll go out and buy that crazy expensive car, the new house,
Sure.
and they'll start spending all this money, and then it's at the end of the year comes and it's like, oh shit, I owe how much, and like how am I out of money when my contract was, so I think
I think with professional athletes it's a unique situation, I think, because a lot of what is not recognized is that you're only going to have a few years of this. Most professional athletes are only playing for a very limited number of years.
right.
So it's like thinking you're going to have a 20-year career making however much you make. And there's always the star athletes, right, that are making $10, $20 million a year. But there's a lot of professional athletes that are not making anywhere near that. Maybe they're making $1 million. Maybe they're making it's a lot of money. But that's only going to be for 5, 6, 7 years, maybe less.
Yeah,
and
I think that,
and then what skills do they have that they can apply to work? And whatever skills they are generally not going to earn them a similar amount of money.
Yeah.
So it's really being able to figure out, well, I need to save 3/4 of my income for the rest of my life after I'm done playing, I think is
It was really interesting. So Tyler Lockett, he plays for Seattle, and he started in his real estate career, and he's still playing football. And so many people were like, why the hell are you a real estate agent on the side or on the off season or whatever? Like, what people just didn't understand that, okay, he is being really smart, and he knows that, he doesn't have very much longer to play. And also, really smart to use his he's a figure that people are going to want to work with anyway, so kudos to be able to kind of leverage that a little bit more. But just for him, he's like, to me it seems like either he has a really great personal coach or somebody in his life, or maybe he just thought about it himself. I don't know him personally, so I don't know, but he's setting himself up for success for after football is over.
And that's key.
And
I think that's true of a lot of people. It's easy to talk about famous people, professional athletes, stars, but, in talking with people about retirement, usually the first question I have is, what are you going to do when you retire?
Yeah.
And people become so focused on if they have enough money to retire that they don't really think about what they're going to do. And, I'm aware a lot of people retire and they're not really fulfilled in retirement. What do you want to spend your time on? Because that also indicates how much money you're going to need, right?
As someone that's, I'm sure, worked with a bunch of people and helped them retire, do you see, the kind of the old adage of like, once people retire, it's 6 months later, they're back to work. If someone says, I want to do this, do they stick with it? Or does it actually change once they're actually living it?
It runs the gamut. There are people who are like, I want to sit around and do nothing, and are perfectly happy to do that.
They're really good at that.
Yeah, they're really good at it, and they really don't want. When people say that to me, I'm always skeptical.
Yeah.
But there are people who actually enjoy, sitting around at home and reading and going to the coffee shop in the morning and Denny's for dinner. They just really love that, and that's fine, right? But if you're not that person, you really want to think about what it is that you're going to spend your time on. A lot of people really enjoy volunteer work. They find something and the great thing about volunteer work is that nobody's making you show up, right? They're happy to have you. So whatever your schedule is, you can usually do something about it. And other people find they want to maintain some professional acumen, and maybe they'll work part-time, do some consulting. And other people want to travel. A lot of people want to travel, and I talk a lot about, travel's expensive. And so people look at their expenses and they're like, well, if I want to retire this and this, yeah, but if you want to be traveling 20 weeks out of the year, let's talk about how much that's going to cost.
Yeah.
And how much you need if that's what you want your retirement to look like.
Sure. Yeah, a little bit of a different conversation.
Yeah.
Than what people kind of first expect.
I mean, I'm fortunate to work with a lot of people who have money, so they have choices, right? A lot of people aren't that fortunate, but, you know, I feel like more so I'm helping people make choices rather than deal with extreme scarcity for the most part.
Sure. Yeah. The options are on the table. Let's pick the best option rather than these options don't exist at all.
Yeah.
Do you know what you want to do when you retire?
Well, in my career, it's different because I work on my own. I'm not sure if I'll ever fully retire. You know, I can scale back and continue working with good clients that I enjoy working with and just continue to do that almost indefinitely. So for me, I feel like it's more a progressive scaling back of my time at work and managing that right.
Sure.
I once told my assistant that when I retire, I'm going to need her even more because I'm going to not want to be at work.
Right.
But
the demand
but
is still
I'm still
going to
be working, right?
Yeah.
So
when you have more free time, how are you going to be able? What do you want to spend it on?
Well, I'll probably still do some sailing.
Yeah.
But both Isabel and I want to travel and enjoy that, and we're already starting to do that some. So that's great.
Has that been more recent the last couple of years? Because I think since we've known you, like there's been several trips and
so the last couple of years a lot more. And earlier in our marriage, we traveled a bunch when we were a lot younger, and then there were a bunch of years in the middle, I think, where we traveled a bit less. But we're really traveling more now and enjoying that, and you know, hopefully that'll increase over time. And so I think we're going to do a lot of travel and enjoy that and see a lot of new places. And there's two things that we really like is visiting cities with cultural history and visiting places of natural beauty. I mean, we were in Yosemite for the first time this year, and it was just incredible.
Yeah, and tell me about that.
You know, it's driving distance from San Diego. I mean, it's so easy. That was one of the reasons we moved here, was to be close to nature. I mean, to get there from Chicago is like a whole thing, and rent a car. And here you just hop in the car and you're up there in a few hours.
Yeah. What was it about Yosemite that
I've been to a lot of beautiful places, being fortunate. I thought Yosemite would be like another beautiful mountainous area, but it is unique and has a certain beauty in Yosemite Valley and a certain look to it, you know, mountain and valley and trees and
What's been your favorite country that you've been to outside of the U.S.?
I would say both Isabel and I were really amazed by Turkey. And we were there a long time ago, and I know things have changed there. But it was really incredible to see, because you go to Istanbul and every culture has been through Istanbul. I mean, you think of where it's located, all the Crusades went through there, the Silk Road, everything went through Istanbul. You couldn't get anywhere without going through Istanbul and, you know, Western Turkey. And to go there and see everything and the layers of history from the Romans to the Ottomans, and it's all there, all in one place. And it's just so much history. Feels like it's very tightly put together.
My question is always, where would you go back to tomorrow if you could go back to anywhere?
Well, if I was going to go back somewhere, you asked cities, but I'm always ready to go back to Alaska.
Yeah.
I've been there 3 times, 2 with Isabel, and I've had incredible experiences in Alaska. It's just sort of like I was describing Yosemite.
Yeah.
But Alaska is truly remote.
It's just so big.
It's big.
It's massive.
It's remote. Everything's bigger. They say things are bigger in Texas, but it's really Alaska.
Yeah, like Alaska's like what, 2 or 3 times the size of Texas or something?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And there's no people, so it's...
Yeah. Alaska is very high on my list. I haven't been, but I'd love to I had an opportunity to go a few years ago with my aunt and uncle. They were going to go on a cruise and kind of do up the coast to Alaska. It didn't work out, unfortunately, but I've heard nothing but just amazing things.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
I want to go back to a little bit about your journey of over the last 24 years. So stepping out of the international, kind of the bigger corporate role, at what point earlier in your career did you feel like a shift of like, okay, I really get how to work with people and how to have an impact, and got to get to the point where you were actually, moved from the ivory tower and then on the ground and working? Was there a moment or was there a shift that happened at any point that you can remember?
Yeah, so let me divide that. There's the working with people as a financial advisor, and there's running a business and figuring out how to get new clients and having a business. And those are pretty different roles. And when I was early in my career, I really sought out a lot of mentorship and training and everything on how to be a financial advisor, and in the best way possible. And I had an advantage because I had a very good finance background that most people don't come in with. So I felt like I was pretty good at the technical aspects of being a financial advisor pretty early on. That was not overly challenging. Then the aspects of working in a human way with people that's not technical is another challenge for a financial advisor. And I'm still working on that.
Yeah.
And I think I will always be working on that. But I would say that's been a slow progression of, you never really understand people. But
I would agree.
But at the same time, I think I've gotten pretty good at that. The business challenges were interesting. I knew I had a very good, what they call warm initial market, where you go out and you talk to some people you knew. And when I started in the business, I mainly asked people for referrals because I figured they knew me, and if they wanted to work with me, they'd tell me they wanted to work with me after I gave them my spiel. So I would ask them for referrals, and I got referrals. My first year in the business, I did very, very well.
Yeah.
Then my second year in the business, I kind of ran out of all those people that I knew, and that was my most difficult year in the business. Was my everybody's like, "Oh, the first year is awful." I'm like, my first year was okay.
Sophomore slump.
Yeah, I had the sophomore slump. I like that. And that was when I had to figure out, okay, here's how I need to go out and find clients and do things. And I really started to network a lot. And I joined some different networking groups. And one of the things that I did, a little bit like 6 Degrees, I was in this networking group, and you got 30 seconds to give your spiel at the beginning. They go around the table, similar to how we do now. But early in my career, and I should probably do this today when I go to 6 Degrees meetings, but I used to, people kind of get up and they say something for 30 seconds. I used to, before the meeting, every week, I would write out what I was going to say and come up with a 30-second commercial.
Sure. So
that I was constantly thinking of new ideas, new ways to communicate what I'm doing. And then I could use those little commercials or something like that going forward, and really, rather than saying off the top of my head, but planning what I was going to say, I felt really helped me to hone my message, develop a clientele, help me network, do things like that.
Yeah. Well, so I appreciate that, because I think, the quote unquote elevator pitch, part of it is what we talked about earlier around communication. It's like, this person's different than this other person, and to only have one, here's how I explain what I do. With certain people, that's not going to resonate. So to have multiple angles, multiple versions, multiple ways of just, maybe I ask a question. I mean, one of the things that I've talked about for us is sometimes if I meet someone, they're like, what do you do? I'm like, well, how important are relationships to your business? That's where I'll start, rather than like, well, here, I'll just give you the what. Yeah. Right. So I love the intentionality of just thinking through of like, well, what if I said it this way? And it just becomes a test kitchen to be able to articulate whatever the message is.
And the key to be genuine, I feel like some of the coaching people receive on giving the quick pitch. They end up with very either cheesy messages or people describe to me what they do and I still have no idea what they do. Like for me, there's a value in people asking me, am I saying I'm a financial advisor?
Right.
You know, that's an easy answer. And people get to a certain extent what it is that I do.
Right. They have an idea. We've experienced that to some degree of like
100%.
I love everything. I love the purpose, love the values. What do you do?
Right.
What does it mean to be a member?
Especially in the beginning. I mean, I feel like because we purchased something that already existed, it already had a life form, and we wanted to shift into something that really spoke to us. And I think definitely the messaging I can remember some of the first calls I had with people and prospects and that thing, and it was just that same reaction, like, what exactly do you do? How is this different? What did you just say? And so it's just been practicing that over the last few years. And even now, I have a hard time when people ask me, like, what is your elevator pitch? They'll ask me for an elevator pitch, and I'm like, I'm not a fan of trying to pitch myself. So yeah, how can I ask a question or come up with a different way to tell people more about why I do what I do and it still land so it's not confusing?
That's the challenge, and that's the benefit of being in an industry where it's like, well, at some level I get what you do, right? And then there's different iterations of that, right? And I would say there's not many people that I know for you, Scott, that do financial advising with your approach, with your level of expertise, right? And the depth that you'll go with the client to talk about things that are the next steps, right? In terms
I appreciate
of
you
planning.
saying that.
Yeah, I did very much from as long as we've known you. It's like, no, Scott is amazing at what he does. And every time that you've done a spotlight in a group, I'm always really impressed with like the level of detail that you're able to work with.
I remember when we first, even before we bought 6 Degrees, I remember, and I don't even know like exactly how many financial advisors were part of the organization right at the beginning of Eric and I having it, but I had the conversation with Eric multiple times. I'm like, dude, Scott needs take my money. Like, he's so smart. And he's the person who I would trust wholeheartedly with all of my money, because it's been really, really fascinating to see. So there's how many financial advisors, even just if I took San Diego, there's so many, right? And each person has a different approach and different skill set. It's like, yes, on some level, I know what a financial advisor does. And at the same time, they're all very unique, and they're going to be able to provide different ways of looking at things. And so that's been really, really fascinating to be in our position where we do know a lot of financial advisors, and I can see how each person has their unique value add for their clients.
Yeah, obviously not every person's going to want to work with me, and that's okay.
Right.
And, it took me a couple years in business to figure even that out.
It's an important lesson.
Right, yeah, an important lesson. But it's best to work with the people that you have a rapport with, that appreciate your approach.
Yeah.
And I think that's true in any business.
Yeah.
That the people who are most drawn to you are going to be your best clients and appreciate your approach and how you're doing things. So that's fine. Not everybody is going to want me for the way that I do things.
Yeah.
Well, I think because Eric shared this with me when you did the exercise of identifying some of the most important people to your business, and the realization was, at least this is what he shared that you said, Scott, that one of your biggest referral partners is actually another financial advisor. And you're not the only one who actually had that realization too. There was another financial advisor in 6 Degrees. It was like, oh, wow, I get quite a bit of business from somebody who is in my exact same field. That's huge. And I think that that's possible in any industry if we're willing to work with each other instead of against each other.
Yeah. So I've found over the years, I've had a lot of advisors come to me. They just feel like they've taken on a client that just might be a little bit over their head, or maybe has some details or complexity that they're not comfortable dealing with, or they're just new in the business and feel like they like to work with me a couple times as sort of a mentor. And I've done a lot of business that way, and I enjoy working with other people. And one of the things when I'm working with another advisor, especially a newer advisor, is that I have to be very deliberate about what I'm doing because they're trying to learn from me. You hear this a lot, you don't really know something until you teach it.
Right.
And it's a little bit different, but it's similar in the way that you have to be deliberate when you're thinking about trying to develop someone else's skill. And I think that makes me better,
Right,
because I'm thinking about very actively about how I'm doing things.
right. Well, so you talked about seeking out mentors. How did you go about finding mentors, working with, how many you've worked with, and what that process was? And it sounds like you've gotten a lot out of just being in that role.
Yeah. So you're talking about people that I've mentored or mentors that I had earlier in the business?
So earlier in your career,
Yeah,
because it
so,
seems like you have that has trickled down into what you're doing now with younger people.
Yeah.
Earlier in
So
their career.
early in my career, I would really look to identify people that had certain skills. And it's not like I wanted to be like some specific person, but people who had very specific skills or could do something really well. And I would corner those people, ask them to lunch, do whatever to sort of learn about that. And there's always a lot of industry meetings and things going on. And I know that for much of my career, and even still today, before I go to one of those meetings where I know I'm going to see a lot of colleagues, people who are good at their business, I go with a couple of questions. When I sit down to lunch, I have those questions in my pocket of things that I want to learn at this meeting. How do you do this?
Sure.
How are you? Because I've got 10 people sitting at a table who are all, good advisors, or they wouldn't be there.
Would you say it's more of skills that you were working on, or skills that you identified as gaps in your own expertise, or more finding someone that has a specific skill and saying, I want to learn how to do that better?
Well, early in my career, it was finding someone with a skill or seeing somebody who was doing something that maybe I hadn't even thought of and learning more about that. And so that was early in my career. Then it became sort of, what are best practices? What are the best practices of running a financial advisory practice, of working with clients? I would say today it's more directed in terms of, here's a challenge that I'm currently having. What do other people do to deal with that?
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. How many different mentors would you say you've had? Obviously, there's different levels.
What is
Yeah.
Is that somebody I had lunch with and grilled about their practice? Is that in terms of, people that I would legit say that I've spent some time with and really learned a lot from? It's probably 5 or 7 people, something like that.
Yeah. What's interesting to me about that is I think there's an opportunity from a client standpoint. So if I'm looking the way you described a mentor, it's like I'm going to find someone that I see as a very valuable asset in terms of what the skill set that they have and how do I learn more from them. I think from a client standpoint, if I found a client that I really wanted to work with and I love their business and I was super passionate about whatever they did, how do I get a hold of that person because I can help them? Right? I think there's a similar thing that we look at the mentor thing and that sounds easy, but if I actually did that with potential clients and had the same drive and the same motivation around just being excited about what they're doing, there's an opportunity there that I think a lot of people overlook, right? And
that's a great insight, Eric.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a great insight. I think I got to think about that.
Yeah.
Maybe I've overlooked that.
That is interesting. I'm like, is that a little bit of how I approach things when I'm talking to people who are looking for community? Because it's like, okay, can I look at it more as mentoring them into the right community for whatever they need right now, whatever is going to be fulfilling for them or lead to their next success? Because it's not 6 degrees always. We're not always going to be the answer for it. So I really appreciate that view of a mentorship guidance into helping that person.
There's the mentorship aspect, but like, who gets me excited? It sounds like your clients, because of the relationship aspect. I'm sure when they call, you're excited to I love.
Yeah,
I'm looking
people
forward.
I'm actively working with, I enjoy talking to them. I enjoy learning about what's going on in their lives, their next challenge, whatever it is.
So to seek out more people like whatever they're doing and try to find the ones that really get like the difference between someone that's a client and, you know, we talk on the regular cadence, but the ones that get me really excited, like why do I get excited about that person?
Yeah.
And what if I could seek out and find more of those people? And what if I had more of them in my book of business? Right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay.
I think that for us has been the more that we've realized, I think because Eric and I are in a relationship together as business owners also. And I think naturally we've just been kind of gravitating towards other people who are in similar positions, either with a significant other or a family member or something. There's a dynamic there. And so, it's like, oh, that's really fun. You guys are you're in the same thing that we're in.
You and Isabel works with you a little bit, right?
Yeah, Isabel. So I have a full-time assistant,
right,
and she's busy all the time.
Yeah.
She doesn't have time for other stuff, more work for me to give her. And frankly, I have not been great at the whole social media thing and all of that. Historically, I haven't been good. And there's a whole another aspect in my business, which anytime you're doing marketing, there has to be a compliance review. Marketing materials have to be potentially filed with the SEC. There's a whole thing with compliance. And Isabel now works for me part-time doing marketing and social media stuff and interfacing with compliance. And it's been a huge benefit, both in having her eye on that and also keeping me to task to make sure I'm actually doing it and that I'm trying to engage with people in, for lack of a better term, a modern way.
It takes a lot of time, right? To even some of the things that we've been doing on LinkedIn lately. I mean, we've got support right now. I mean, if it wasn't for that, I tried to make that somewhat of like a New Year resolution type thing. And I was good about it for about a month. And then that completely fell off as far as just like posting and trying to be a little bit more active on LinkedIn. But it takes a lot of time to be able to do it. And so it's certainly something that we've identified as like, no, we need support to be able to do it and to do it well and be consistent.
So working with Isabel, how has that strengthened or shifted anything in your relationship from going from married partner to, okay, now we work together?
Yeah. So I think we're very clear about what hat we're wearing.
Yeah.
And
when you're
that, for us, that's very important. If we're working on a work thing, we're wearing the work hat.
Yeah.
And that hat can come on and off very quickly, right?
Sure.
We have lunch together almost every day. So, we can be sitting at lunch and sometimes Isabel will come with a work thing and she'll be like, I need you to look at this. And then after 3 minutes, we're done looking at that and the work hat comes off and we're just having lunch together and it's great. But when we're working, it's clear what hat we're wearing, and that is important, I think, for us. We're not like sitting there talking about work all the time. That's not our relationship. That's not what we're going to want to do. Isabel doesn't do any client-facing work at all. She's not interested in doing that. A lot of the stuff that I'm engaged in and what I spend most of my time at work, even though she's working in the business, is not stuff that she's at all engaged with. So we don't really talk about work that much in our personal life.
That sounds very healthy to be able to take the hats off and on and be very clear about that. I mean, for us, so much of it is just everything, for better or worse for us. The way we have it works for us, but it's harder for Christina and I to separate, like, because there's date night, we'll go out and we'll be at a bar or restaurant and like we'll run into someone like you and be like, oh, this kind of is work now. I'm always curious when someone works together, how clear you're able to keep things separate.
And when Isabel started working for me, I was very clear that if that had any impact on our relationship, we're done working together. Yeah.
You're still working together. Would you say it's made your relationship stronger? Has it positively impacted it? In what way?
Honestly, I don't think it's had a big impact.
No, it's just no. That's work. She's helping. It's great. It really helps me out. And
it really helps me out. I will say one thing about it. When you're in your own business, and I think this is true of any business owner, there's a certain amount of stress related to managing the business and all of that. And I think when income is coming in and where it's coming from and all this. And I think that her working in the business has made her a little bit more understanding of how that goes. My trying to communicate that stress to her in the past, she says, you've always made enough money. Everything's fine. Like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But I think that now that she's a little bit in the business, some of that stuff, she's just has a much better insight into and why I might be stressed at a particular time.
Yeah.
She can see on my calendar that I've got 20 appointments booked in the next few days, and she's more conscious of the fact that, there's prep for the appointment, there's taking notes after the appointment, there's all of this stuff that goes into it. So I think she's a lot more understanding of the challenges.
I love that. I've never really thought about that, but I think for so many just partners in life where, like, if Miss Christina and I didn't do this together, I would have no idea what her day-to-day stress is and like what goes into the job that she's doing. And it's such a gift to have like the little bit of insight and a little bit of empathy of, oh, this is why.
Yeah.
This makes so much sense.
Yeah.
I could see that for
100%.
sure.
I mean, the experience of hourly versus salary versus I'm the owner, I'm the entrepreneur, they're all so different. How many times have people who have bartended, served, whatever in hospitality have said, man, every person should go through doing that at least for a moment in their life to understand and experience. If I go to a restaurant and like what my server or bartender is going through in this moment, right? And I think that's a really, really good point, is to be able to have more understanding for my significant other or anyone in my life and what they're going through.
Yeah. I know you love to cook. Have you ever worked in the hospitality world?
I actually have not. I've often said that I should take a step back. I did, when I was 14 years old, I worked at Arby's.
That counts.
So that's technically a hospitality job.
That
Yeah.
counts.
So I did that, but I've often said, I think I would have been a horrible waiter, but I think it would have been presented a great opportunity for personal growth if I had done that earlier in life.
Yeah, there's so many just like the human skills, right? The people
Yeah.
skills that come up from that, and it can be a very tough road. So if you have, my thing is like, as long as you got like a taste of it, Arby's at 14, like that counts.
Yeah, I actually learned a lot in that job, you
Yeah.
know. They had very good training.
Oh, that's great.
Wow.
Suggestive selling.
So,
Would you like a cookie with that?
Let's give me 2 appetizers, 2 beer options. Yeah, that's. I kind of want to go down the cooking path because you've talked about cooking and how that's a passion for you. You mentioned lunch with Isabel. Who's cooking lunch? Is it actual? Is it actual meal, or are you guys just doing like sandwiches?
No, we usually have a meal. Sometimes it'll be left. We eat a lot of leftovers for lunch because we cook in the evening or something, and then we've got leftovers, and then we had that for lunch. But sometimes we're cooking for lunch. Lunch is usually simpler, but dinner, we like to cook together. Usually, you know, there's a recipe that one of us kind of takes charge of, and then the other one is a sous chef. We operate a lot that way. I would say Isabel tends to make the more formal dishes, like things that go in the oven. I tend to make things that are prepared on the stovetop, or a little more some of this and some of this and some of this. And then whoever is not sort of the primary is chopping and cutting and
setting the table,
doing the other stuff. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite dish?
You know, in the last couple years, I really like making risotto. I bought an Instant Pot, and honestly, I don't use it that much, but it has changed the risotto game completely.
Because risotto is not super easy to make.
You know
just
what?
takes so
With
much
an Instant
time.
Pot, it's so much easier. It's like it comes out better than risotto I get at a restaurant all the time. It's just changed the game completely. So I really like mushroom risotto. I've tried asparagus. I've done butternut squash risotto. I've done a bunch of stuff.
I love a good risotto.
Risotto's so good.
Well, maybe I'll have to have you over.
Yeah, that would be fun. I would, yes to risotto always.
Yeah.
If it's on the menu, it's even if I sit down and I look at a menu and if there's risotto, anything, it's like, okay, that and what are the are the possibilities?
Yeah.
But it's always
at the top of the list is a possibility
it's
of
like,
I'm probably going to get that.
For sure.
Honestly, my favorite thing is breakfast, though. I love a good breakfast.
Do you? Are you like
really
pancakes, like bacon, eggs?
Well, I like pancakes.
Because you're vegetarian.
I am a vegetarian. I love making pancakes. I make a good vegetarian frittata, which all I have to do is make a pie crust, and then I have a vegetarian quiche.
Okay.
So both of those are good options. I love making smoothies in the morning, fruit smoothies, not vegetables. I make scones a lot for breakfast, drop biscuits. Yeah.
Where did the passion for cooking come from?
I grew up in a house of food.
Did you?
Yeah, my mom is an incredible cook. I didn't really understand until, I went to other people's houses that not everybody has an incredibly delicious meal every day.
Right.
Like, my mom was she was the person, like, people always called when they needed cooking advice. Like, oh, how come this doesn't work or whatever? And so as a kid, and I was with my mom when she'd cook, and I think certainly that's the genesis of it. And then, like everybody in my 20s, I probably ate way too much macaroni and cheese and French fries, but
got sick of it.
I still like macaroni and cheese. But as time progresses, you want to eat better, and I, like a lot of people, I enjoy eating. I enjoy good tasting food, and I also I've always liked working, like woodworking and stuff.
Sure.
And cooking's kind of the same way. Like, you're building something. And
it's an art form.
It's not going to last forever. You're going to eat it, and then it's going to be gone. But you built this thing, and it's awesome, and it tastes good, and other people like it. And I like cooking for other. It's interesting. Isabel leaves town, and I don't cook.
That's Christina.
Well, I don't cook in general. So so when you're gone.
But if I wasn't here, you would not feed yourself in a healthy way.
No, yeah, it's
it would be mac and cheese and.
Yeah, it's I had popcorn and wine. It's great.
It's not a meal.
I know.
That sounds good to me too.
Yeah, see?
That's the thing is if I'm solo, it's just so much harder to have stuff that I want to make for a meal. And I don't personally enjoy cooking. It's not something I don't like being in the kitchen. It's just not for me.
Look, trust me, there are plenty of times I'm like, I just can't even imagine cooking right now.
Yeah.
It's not like I want to be cooking 24 hours a day, but I enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
But there are plenty of days I'm like, I just need something delivered to my house so that I can sit in front of the TV and eat. Yeah,
I'm the same way. I actually really enjoy chopping stuff up and kind of doing it with care and trying to make it as good as I can and perfecting stuff. Is there any recipe that your mom passed down to you?
When I think of, so my mom made a lot of meat, and as a vegetarian, a lot of those are not transferable, but I will tell you that when Passover comes along, I've got a whole
spread.
A whole spread of my mom's recipes that come out in April every year for Passover that are really good. So
I love it.
Yeah,
that's awesome. I love when there's legacy in the recipes. Of my grandma, her pierogies are this legendary thing that my sister's got the recipe.
That you've still never made.
I have not made them. I don't. That's more baking. Baking is a different thing than cooking. So,
my mom has a cake that it's a famous cake. I literally had somebody from someone I went to high school with that I have not talked to in probably 10 years. Reached out, texted me out of the blue, and just like, hey, I remember your mom's cake. Do you have a recipe you can share? I don't know. They wanted it for something. And I was like, no, that's the family recipe. I'm not just going to give that to somebody I haven't talked to in 10 years. But it was crazy that it left that much of an impact. This human had that cake maybe one time in their life ever. And it was back in high school, and it was 10 years later. So that cake is gold. It's pure gold.
I too have one recipe that I got from my mother that I don't share.
You won't share it.
Yeah. I don't share it with anybody, and the main reason is it's so easy to make and so and delicious, and it's so great to bring to a potluck that I just don't want to show up and have other people have it.
you know that people would take it because it's that easy.
Yeah.
I love that.
Well, it's funny. My mom's cake, really, it's not that complicated by any means.
No, it's not. It is the best cake I've ever had in my life.
It's the best cake I've ever had in my life. It's crazy. It's even better the next day. It's kind of it's soaked in a little bit more, and the next day is the best.
So many things are better the next day.
The flavor sinks into some stuff. So.
Yeah. I'm getting hungry now and just all this talk about food.
Well, so one of the other things I wanted to ask you was around. So you've been part of 6. You are the longest standing member of 6 Degrees.
Yeah, that's one of my great achievements in life.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think so. I would love to just hear a little bit more about the last few years for you and the transition and what that's been like.
You mean the transition to you guys?
From when we took over, how it like...
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been a huge improvement in my mind. The members that I see are much more excited about going to things. The community is much closer. There's more learning activities. There's a greater variety of the types of things that are going on with 6 Degrees.
Yeah.
And I think that that's been an incredible improvement for your organization. And I think you guys deserve a lot of credit for what you're doing, and the amount of time and effort that you guys put into this is really incredible. I mean, even as simple as you're showing up to all these small group meetings all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how you guys do it. It's just incredible time commitment and all these events. I mean, it's really a lot. And I think as a result, you build a closer community.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. So
I appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, so much of it for us is we want to practice what we preach, and so much of relationships is showing up and being there. And we, Christina and I, we care. And hopefully that at any level, things aren't perfect and we're still working on some stuff, but at any level, hopefully you feel how much we care.
Yeah,
right.
I do.
And then, yeah.
And I feel the same. Like, anytime you're telling people what to do or you're leading by example and doing what you're telling other people to do is so important. I mean, that's why I own the same products as my clients. I use the same money managers. I use the same tax strategies. I'm doing what I preach.
Right. I mean, we've had this conversation in real estate. So many realtors have never gone through the buying process before for themselves.
Yeah.
Right. And that's a different experience. Right. So same thing with money management is, especially early in my career, it's kind of hard for me to do that, but it's, well, no, I can get myself a life insurance policy and I can do this and put my money here and learn what happens with working with certain people.
Yeah.
Right. I think there's a lot of value in that. So I appreciate that.
Appreciate you saying that the community is closer. I don't know that that's a word that we've used to describe the community, and it makes sense. It's just not something I'd thought of until you said it. And that makes me feel like we're doing a good job of creating a community, right? And because I think so often there's moments that Eric and I will have when there's been some members who've been part of 6 Degrees for a couple of years and they've never met, and we're like, wait, what? How have you not met this person? Like, you two should have totally met by now. And so I think maybe that's more of like where we get hung up. And there's actually so many more examples of the community coming together and being closer. So I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, that was one of the goals when we took over. It was, there were so many people that like didn't know each other. We're like, how is this? You two need to meet. It doesn't feel like a community if we don't all know each other at some level. So yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you. This has been really lovely, and we're just always really excited that you are the longest standing member of 6 Degrees and have so much history with us and continue to be with us and support, and same to be able to support you and continue growing with you as well.
Well, I appreciate that. I wouldn't still be here if I weren't getting something out of it.
It's
great.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, definitely. Obviously, knowing you is like you're getting something out of it for sure. Yeah, you're not the type of person just to stay in it because it's nice, right? So
well, it is nice.
It is. Money's nice too, but it's not the main reason. Right?
Yeah.
So
well, as a reinforcement, because it is the weekend, and so we talked about what this week has felt like so far with a check-in. So what are each of us excited just about for it being Friday, for it being the weekend? It's a long weekend. What's something that we're each looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to relaxing. Isabel and I are going to at least one movie, but I'm going to guess there's going to be more movies. And I'm going sailing on Monday. So
nice.
It couldn't spend time with my wife, go sailing,
watch a movie.
Perfect time.
Yeah.
Sounds wonderful.
That sounds like a nice little holiday weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would say I'm looking forward for this heat wave to be over, right? Like this, I don't know if it's supposed to be over this weekend.
We're in it. It's
but
all
like
hot.
just kind of getting into fall. I mean, I'm like excited to just the second half of this year, and really kind of turning the page on that. So this Labor Day always kind of feels like end of the year time. So looking
That's
forward
the
to that
Chicagoan in you
It is.
speaking.
Right?
It
Because
is.
here it'll just continue. Just
I
how it is.
know. September, October, it's still all of it.
It's my favorite time of year here. Basically October with the sunset. But yeah, it 100% is the Chicago in me because we only have like a month left.
Yeah.
It could snow in October in Chicago.
Right. Yeah, I know. And in football, the start of it for me, that gives me the fall feeling here, even when the weather doesn't align with that. But this weekend, I'm excited there's some momentum right now, just this past week with the holiday kickoff party. So continuing to build on that momentum. There's some things that I want to work on over the weekend just to put them in place and to continue bringing stuff in for what's going to be yet again our biggest and best event of the year. And they just keep topping themselves obviously because of what we're doing with it. So I'm excited to just continue that.
That's how you signed up for it.
I signed up.
Yeah,
I will be there. I signed up like the
you were
minute I got the.
You might have been the first one.
I think you
gotta
were.
like put it on my calendar, otherwise my calendar gets filled up, and then I'm like, what did I do here? This wasn't right.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm excited. So
Yeah,
yay.
it's gonna be a good one. Well,
Yeah.
thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you
This
coming.
was
Thank you
lovely.
guys. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. Deep dive on a Friday. It's a little loud in mic drop today, and for good reason. It's Friday energy. They're probably all excited for whoever they're hosting today.
Yeah, Friday, baby.
So I just want to make a correction, which is funny because I know when we first started this,
We should correct stuff when we catch it still.
Yeah, I know.
Look for things to correct and fact check, but if we need to make corrections, we should definitely do that.
Yeah, and I guess I should just be a little bit more aware of that and maybe look a few things up. Here's the thing. I probably wouldn't even be making this correction if I didn't learn this a few days ago. I would have still thought that basically what I'm correcting right now is that Tyler Lockett does not play for the Seattle Seahawks, like I said on this episode. You're laughing so hard at me right now.
That's the correction.
Yes.
Tyler Lockett was a free agent and he signed with the Tennessee Titans this year.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
That's your boy.
Dude, I didn't freaking know that until...
He went to a hotter real estate market. That's why he went there.
Is that
It's not
real?
I don't know.
Actually, I would love for the realtors who are in our community to let us know if that's the case. There's no way that... Well, actually... I don't know. Tennessee, do you think that's a hotter real estate
Than Seattle? 1000%.
Really?
Tennessee, it's like Tennessee, Austin, everyone left.
Yeah.
Right? Denver, right? These
Okay.
places are exploding. I don't think that's why he went that dumb. I think Seattle was like, we love you and thank you so much for your service. And Tennessee was like, we'll take you.
I wish it would have been Kansas City that said, we'll take you. Because that would have been fun for me.
Would have been.
I would have bought that jersey immediately.
Would you?
Immediately, I would have bought that jersey. Are you joking? A K-Stater who's as good as he is on Kansas City's team. Yeah,
It's
no,
kinda,
I would have.
He's in the back nine. It's closer to the 18 than any other hole in his career at this point.
I understand where he's at in his career. I don't care. I would have bought that jersey.
Well, yeah, I'm not. Yeah, you would have been excited to have him.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I would have been so excited because here's the thing: of all the K-Staters that have done as well as Lockett and Nelson and Sproles, and he was there when I was there. I was in college, cheering him on. I remember, Tyler Lockett. I remember all of that. It was great. So that to me is a little bit more close to my heart.
Sure.
So yeah. Anyway, that was the correction that I wanted to make.
So glad we made that really important correction. I retract.
It's important to me.
I retract the need to make corrections if that's what we're correcting. What else? What else you got?
What else you got? Give me the next one. Well, because it's kind of raw for us because we had a call before we came in to record today, and it was with someone that we feel really strongly that is who we want to grow with, right? Very purpose and values driven. So something that Scott said, we thanked him towards the end of just still being here and with us, and he's our longest standing member and he's been a part of it. And you asked him about just what's changed or how was it different or improved or whatever. And he said, I wouldn't still be here if I wasn't getting something out of it. So I'm wondering, is that what hurts the most when we lose somebody that we really feel like genuinely is someone that we think is who we want to continue growing with? And it's like, shit, they're not getting something out of it, and so they're not here anymore.
It could be. I mean, I wholeheartedly mean what I say is like, there's so many seasons in life and there's so many reasons and priorities change and things happen. The biggest bummer is we've gotten to know people really well, and part of that is just the consistency of the way we have things set up with the events, with the groups, and it's just built in that I'm going to get to see people that I really enjoy spending time with on a regular basis, and when people aren't part of it, I don't get to see them on a regular basis, right? Which is how most other relationships work, right? So I'm kind of processing that in real time. Well,
it's interesting. I'm even thinking about this past year. Okay, so when we bought 6 Degrees right out of the gates, we were going to any event that was about networking in any capacity. We were out at so many things. And there's definitely certain events and certain organizations that will overlap quite a bit with the people that are part of our community, or at least have been in the past. So even if someone wasn't a member, we'd see them pretty often. And that's not happening as much anymore, right? I personally have focused so much more of our attention on our own events, and I think it's because of the production, the quality. Like, I'm really trying to knock it out of the park. Pun intended for that one, because of the Padres game. I'm trying to knock it out of the park with the things that we're doing, and so that takes a lot of energy. I think you and I have gotten a lot more selective of when we're going to events that aren't 6 Degrees, that we're not hosting, I guess is what I mean by that. It's even more intentional, and it's like, yeah, I know what my capacity is, and I also want to, I don't want to just go to an event just to go to an event, and let's try to, because I think that's what happens with a lot of people's approach to networking is like, I just need to go to all of the things and meet as many people and just be out in the world and show up. Yeah. And it's like, no, I want to go to this specific event because this is who I want to see, or this is who I want to support, or this person invited me and I really respect them, or, whatever the thing might be, or it's a cause that I'm really passionate about. And so it's not just going to everything. And it's because of that, to your point, that was a very, very long-winded way of saying that I agree with you on the people that aren't part of our organization anymore. We really aren't seeing them hardly at all anymore, because we aren't going to every single little thing that is out in San Diego and happening. And
yeah, and I think I just don't know that it was this year. I think there was some health stuff. If I think back of just like, there was some limitations with us having one car, me not being able to drive, right? And again, that was a small chunk of time, but just looking at the priorities were just different this year. So I feel like we were just out differently in the world. And I think sometimes even when people leave, it's like they need a break. Like there's seasons of people, like I've talked to a handful of people like, yeah, I don't like to go and just be in a room full of strangers.
Mm-hmm.
I did that for 3 years. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm good. I met the people that I needed to meet. Right. Sometimes I like that still, but yeah, it's there's seasons to it.
Well,
There's a seasonality to it.
and I don't like that. I as much as this is my job is to be out and meeting people and trying to make it less painful to walk into a room of strangers for some people. I personally, I don't. I mean, I know for a fact anytime that you and I go to an event together, I lean on you as my crutch and I'll do the same exact thing that almost every person does where it's look for the person that I know and all of that, right? I do those same type of habits. So for me, so much of my extracurricular has shifted away from going to these large events, and I'm meeting people for individual coffees. That's where I spend so much more of my time as far as meeting new people in the San Diego community.
Yeah, I mean, I was at an event last night and I talked to the three or four people, and I knew them all already. I hadn't seen them in a while, right? Rather than the new people, right? So there's the seasonality to it, and it depends on the event, and there's a lot of factors that go into it. So yeah, I mean, we've talked about you having more of that, getting juice from people, like having the continual conversation about the exciting stuff that we're doing, and that being missing from what I'm doing, and being more on the back end and in the community, and that being a challenge at times of just, if the groups, we've had different waves of turnover or not get like people, the groups, not people not showing up to the groups or a smaller percentage not, as committed.
Yeah.
That's been an ongoing thing.
Okay, so yes, and I would say, if anything, you probably experience more positive feedback than I do as far as events that we're doing or connections and results that are happening from them because you're in the groups, right? When people are sharing their appreciations and their wins about just what's going on in their industries and their work and who they're connecting with, and oftentimes, and you and I have talked about how sometimes it can be a little I don't know, uncomfortable maybe just to hear any kind of praises towards you or I specifically, but that's where people are often sharing thank yous and appreciations for what's going on. So if anything, I feel like you get to hear a lot of that, and not even necessarily for you and I or an event that we put on or whatever, but even just the thank yous and exchanges between our members, which I think is the coolest part, right? It's I met this person, and like I got to tell Anthony Anselmo at the game, I was like, yeah, we literally just had somebody sing your praises in one of our groups yesterday because you introduced them to this person or whatever. And he was like, oh, that's really cool, right? And I feel like that really kind of lit him up to hear that people are talking about him even when he's not in the room in a very positive, like, thank you so much to Anthony. He's such a rock star. So you get to hear all of them.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there's both. I guess what I would say to that is, it's the 100 reviews and one negative one. Part of, oh shit, 3 people had a last minute emergency, they're not going to be able to come. Now there's like the group is smaller than it is supposed to be. I'm leading and I shouldn't be leading. Like it's all, I'm focusing on the wrong stuff with that part of it. So yeah.
But that's the easy thing to fall into, right? It's easy to fall into the negative stuff and like, like this went wrong and this didn't go well. And
the positive stuff is also available, but that's not
it's
not where I like to shine the light.
Oh man, it's tough. It's just, it's tough. And I think what's the easy thing to do after having a conversation with someone who's not going to be in 6 degrees anymore is to really linger on that. When on the flip side, we have someone like Scott Schechter who has literally been here the longest and continues to be a member and continues to find value and
Day
really
one.
enjoys his membership and his time and the relationships that he's building. And like, I think that's freaking awesome. And that's where we need to say, yeah, it's working for a lot of people. And there's a lot of people who want to be here and grow and continue. You said that you had like 3 or 4 people who came up to you after the Padres game. I was like, okay, what, like, how can I help? Who do you guys want like introductions to?
Yeah.
And like, you know what I'm saying? Like that, like
multiple people. We're this is so good, and how do we, like, what do you guys need?
mm-hmm.
And that conversation happened in it's happened since then with one of the groups. After the group ended, it was like, okay, but like, how do we grow this group? The people that are here right now,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to lose anyone else. What do we need? And like the group it was cool to just have the group kind of rallying around just the systems that we have set up for relationships to develop, right?
Yeah, I think.
And part of it's just being more specific, and we've gotten clarity, and we've talked about we need to give people tools to be able to share. We need to clean up some of the messaging. We need to make it. The website has some opportunity to clean up some of the pages and
Yeah.
right.
Well,
that's all part of it.
Well, and here's the thing too. So, okay, we had a email that went out the day before the Padres event, and not only was it including the suggested connections that I sent to each person, that was included in the email. There was so much in there about managing expectations, and we were very honest with we had an email that went out specifically to members, and we had an email that went out to the people who we were hoping to be members. They were in the room. And I think it was actually really, really helpful for the email that went out to the members to understand, hey, we want to grow. And like the people who are here were invited for a reason, and we would love for them to experience you. And why this community is so great is because of people like you. And this is who we want to continue to grow with. And I think that clarity, I had a couple people walk up to me, members at the event, and go like, yeah, who do I need to talk to here? I want to talk to some people that, not necessarily for me and my business, but like people that should join. And I'm like, awesome, right? They literally showed up for that. I had a couple of people who were not members of 6 Degrees who came up to me and said, this organization is incredible. You have so many people who love you. And every time that I was talking to somebody, they would ask me if I'm a member. And if I would say, I was like, well, no, I'm not a member. And they're like, oh my God, like, and they would sing your praises. Like, you guys have got something so special. So I think that email and like some of the pre stuff that we sent out before this event of just letting people know like what this is for, I think was really helpful to kind of have that mindset for people walking into it.
And we talked about that. Like there's this, we can do a better job with setting the tone. Even like the simple version of suggested connections, right? Like that in itself can do it. And there's context to the behaviors that we want to see more of, tying it to values and doing things
right
for before, right? There's the before, the during, and the after.
Mm-hmm.
And having people come in. So it's every touch point, right? So yeah, I think, how do we keep doing that? We've talked about doing, kind of enhancing how we've been doing the dinners and just doing a better job of setting expectations. And I think it's a huge part of just events, right? And creating a space, creating a container, creating an environment is some of the most important things. Is like the before, the setup to it, the teeing it up to make it what it is, and then the welcome part of when someone walks in the room. Yeah. Right? Like the room was buzzing for 9 innings.
Well, who was it that we were talking to that they just couldn't even believe that there's this baseball game happening and the majority of the people were actually kind of inside a little bit talking and like not even paying attention to there was even a game going on, right? I mean, I would say maybe it was like half and half. There was certainly, and it rotated. Like people would rotate and go out and sit, and then there was some people who would come back in and like hang out.
There was one point around like the fifth. It's like the middle, right in the middle, where most people were outside, and it was actually kind of a little not quiet, but like calmer. Yeah. I did. It wasn't for very long, but there was a. It was like everyone had their food. Everyone had a drink or two, or was still sipping on something.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, let me watch some baseball game.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did catch that part of it. I don't
you know,
if you
and kudos to just the Padres whole, like the team behind the scenes for them, and making sure that everything was great and fantastic. I was doing most of the organizing with that, and so I know you didn't really get to see kind of what was going on behind the scenes, but any question that I had prior and just getting everything set up for success, and then the food ordering and all of that, and then so for anyone who has an experience, like is gonna be with like do a sweet thing, Kimberly was the person. She was like our sweet host. And
I don't know if you want to give her away.
Well, I don't say. I mean, give her why?
I don't know if someone else books it and she's not available because someone else took her.
Well, I want to shout out because she immediately, the very first thing that she did when she came in to ask me is if everything was good and set up, and she kind of gave me the rundown. But either way, she was like, take my cell phone number. And anything you need, just like text me and I'm on it immediately. I didn't even have to wait for her to have to come in and check things. And every single time she came to the suite, she did like just an assessment of all the food that we had left, all the drinks that we had left, what are we running low on? I mean, she was just on it. Yeah. And it was honestly perfect. The way that the food the way it started and then the way that it trickled down, I think was perfect. I think by the time we got to, a certain point in the game and this is what we had left, and now it's like snacks and desserts and just all of it. And then by the time we were done with the event, almost every single beverage was consumed. There was almost nothing left. Like it was in such a positive, not positive, in like a, I don't know, what am I trying to say? It just made sense the way that it flowed. We didn't have too much of anything. We had enough of everything, and I kind of sent some people off with like a few things just on their way out.
Yeah, great. And I mean, you did an amazing job of orchestrating, quarterbacking all of it.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, and people noticed.
Yeah, so. People did notice. I mean, so there was someone who was like, I just came to a sweet event for something else last week, and literally all they had was popcorn and candy. Like that's sure. And I'm not saying like everyone has their own budgets and like what they can afford and what they can do, and I understand that. And people were so amazed by that event. People said that's the best event they've ever been to, and I think it's because when we do something, we're going to do it really fucking well.
Yeah, I would literally go broke to make sure that everyone had enough to eat and drink.
100%.
I would go out of business before. I would literally spend all of the money to make sure that we have enough foods and drink at something like that.
Well, the moment that we found out that with our sponsors, what is it that you want? I'm gonna order that. Like, just tell me anytime that you're you want the next one, or if I could notice that something was low, and I'm like, great, order another pack of that, get another thing of that, like, let's go, because, yeah, exactly. I would feel the same way. I would rather go broke and make sure that everything is amazing.
Yeah, I mean,
and the experience is so top notch before. Yeah.
All I care about is the experience, and if it wasn't, I mean, we've had this it's happened once, but like the experience wasn't right, and here's your money back for the dinner or the brunch that we did.
Oh yeah, we literally gave people their money back, and
it wasn't good. Yeah, it wasn't good enough. Well, it wasn't up to our standards.
And it was funny too because multiple people responded and said, "Well, that was fine." What do you mean that was fine? I'm like, yeah, but fine isn't a wow experience. That was not a wow experience to me, and I'm not okay with that, right?
Yeah.
And that's our standard, and that's how we. And it's
It's our
those
standard.
details
It's our brand.
it's our brand. It's like
Yeah.
those are the details that matter, and that's the reason why people walk away going like, "Holy shit!" I'm like, yeah, exactly, and that's why I'm really tired today.
It's 2 days ago. Still tired.
I'm a little bit. I mean, today was easier. I mean, we didn't really do a whole lot. But yesterday I was dying.
I did a whole lot. I was up early today.
Yeah, you were up really early.
It felt good. I hadn't done that in like a year.
But no, I mean, I know that I don't know, buzzing about the event isn't necessarily super relevant to Scott's episode, but it's hard not to. It was so good.
Well, I mean, to tie it back to just what we talked about, Scott he's been with us since day one, and he's seen how committed we are to. I mean, his words is like, he's like, I'm just impressed that you guys show up to all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like it's a lot. This was it's impressive, is what he said.
Yeah.
If I'm remembering it right.
Yeah, he did say that.
And yeah, I think, and there's been a lot of learning for us, and I think the one thing that's been consistent, the one thing that's been constant is like, we're gonna keep trying.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not good enough or the wrong direction, like, we're gonna figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a matter of finding more of the right people to bring along to get on the bus, because it's only going to get better.
Yeah, that's the
Right?
thing, is like, it's literally only going to get better.
Just looking back of, coming up on year 4, only being in San Diego for 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
right? And we just had a similar conversation around just like, my opinion, one of the best things that we've done to date.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, cool. One of our values is, well, we level up every single day. That means with every event, that, like, how do we make it better?
Well, honestly, it left me with more inspiration for what we have coming up next, which is our holiday party, right? I was already brainstorming. And not even like really on purpose. I wasn't even setting time aside to think about like, what am we going to do for this? But I think part of the buzz around, this takeaway with the baseball cards and how fun and cool that was. And I was like, ooh, okay, what do we, what's the thing? What do we do for this? So it just gets me thinking and gets me energized to make the next thing even better and cooler and whatever. Yeah. And yeah, so that's who we are. And that's what we're going to keep doing.
It's marketing. My favorite definition of marketing is creating the conditions for word of mouth to spread.
Yeah.
That's what marketing is. There's a bunch of tactics and things that, like social media and content, right? Like, there's all of these things, and at the core, it's like, we need to create wow experiences at multiple touch points that people are going to talk about, or give them what they need to be able to talk about it, right? So yeah, yes, motivated, inspired, definitely leveled up, and it's like, okay, shit, fortunately or unfortunately, the bar is raised for the next one.
It definitely has been raised. I do want to make this very known and clear. So often after an event like that, people will come to us and say, you guys are so great at planning events. Like, you should be event planners. And the answer to that is abso-fucking-lutely not. I'm gonna, in the kindest way possible.
The kindest thank you, but no fucking thank you.
But no fucking thank you. It is, and you brought this up as the point that I didn't realize that this is why in my mind, but it is entirely different to plan an event for me, for us, for our community, for our purposes, for our business, than it is to plan events and execute events for a client, for their thing, for their whatever the thing might be. Those are so different.
Yeah, it's night and day. Like, we're bringing our vision to life.
Exactly.
And it's a place for us to try things and experiment stuff and be creative, and it's very much a creative outlet, and that can still exist, but it's so different when it's someone else is driving.
Well, yeah, because they have their own vision of what they want it to be, and how they want it done and whatever. And it's not even something we get to enjoy the events that we're hosting, right? Like we get to be there and see it come to life and see the whole thing. And right. That's sometimes, I mean, some of the best parts of being there and not, I don't want to say that in a way of, like people like singing our praises or something like that. It's more of just, I got to sit back and look at the room buzz and look at the people connecting and laughing and exchanging their cards and finding each other and taking pictures together with their own baseball cards that, you know, of their faces. It was so like, that was so cool. I was like, like it's happening. They're doing it. It was just, you know, that was cool. And it's just not the same thing if it's a community of people or an event of people that I have no connection to and no ties to.
Yeah. Did I tell you what Jaden said?
No.
So Jaden helped us out, and
yeah, shout out Jaden. He was such a huge help for us. Could not have done and executed it.
Yeah, thank you,
without
thank you,
him.
Valentina, for lending his services to us. He came up to when we were getting ready to hand the cards out. I kind of like went through. I'm like, here's how this is. Here's how it's going. Here's how we're gonna do this, and here's what's going to happen. And he came up to me and he's like, it was exactly like he said. People were looking for their card and they're trying to like start trading and all this stuff. And I was like, yeah, no, there's a lot of psychology. And we talk about this all the time. If I show you a picture of 100 people, like a high school reunion type stuff, and like, you're in the picture, all we care about is us. Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. Cause we're like, do I look good? Do I look like shit? Is there something on my face? Yeah.
So it's human nature. But yeah, it was just funny. He was just like, it happened exactly the way you said it was going to happen.
Which is great because it happened exactly. Well, here's what, here was a little bit of a miss. It was just more of a lag of anything else is, I don't know about you, but when I was handing them out at first, I was just handing them out and I wasn't really saying much with handing them out. So people were just like, oh, that's cool. And then they just held on to it. So it wasn't till I started noticing, like, as I'm handing them out, but I had already probably given out, like, the people all in the seat. So probably, like, there's 20 people who I already handed them out to or whatever. And then I noticed that someone's like, oh, thank you. And then they just continue doing whatever they're doing, but they're not opening the cards. And so then I was like, oh, shit, you guys aren't opening these. I was like, you need to open these now. This isn't like a takeaway to go home and whatever. Sure. This is something that you need to open right now in this moment. And so I had to then start kind of going around like, you should open that now. And I especially did that for our members. I was telling them because they're the ones who are in the decks.
Yeah. No, I didn't. I wasn't really. I was just super excited about handing them out.
Yeah.
I wasn't really paying attention. I just felt like at some point someone's going to open it and it'll ripple.
Yeah.
I wasn't super concerned.
Well, I just started noticing that people weren't really opening them, and I said, you should look at these now.
You might want to open that.
Oh, it was so cool.
It was good. It was one of our bests.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll have one at some point that's gonna suck at a really high level if we keep trying to push.
Well, okay, but that's kind of what that brunch was, I think, right? We sucked at a high level. It wasn't terrible. It was not where you and I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
And the people who experienced it, they all had a lovely time. Yeah. Every person that responded to our offer of here's, money back, here's your whatever. Anyone who responded to that was like, oh, I mean, I thought it was totally, I thought I had a great time. So I think that is an example of us sucking at a high level.
Yeah, it'll happen again.
It will happen again. It definitely will happen again. And the thing is we walked away from that and we both felt it. I could feel it. We got in the car to go away and to go away. We got in the car to drive away, and we both were just like that wasn't it.
Yeah. We missed.
I just the feeling of it.
Oh yeah, just to tie it back to Scott again, he's seen the evolution, right? And I just really appreciate we have a handful of members at this point that have stuck with us from the very beginning, and yeah, more stuff like the Padres. That was fun. What if we did that all the time?
Yeah.
What if that's the level of our event programming?
100%. We just gotta build that, and that's.
Yeah,
and it's not even about. It's more about we just gotta build that out as far as, financing all of it, right? That's the part. It's just okay, let's build the type of sponsorship that people would say, hell yeah, I want to do that every time, and sign me up, let's go, right? And get excited to be the sponsor of that type of a level of experience.
More exciting things coming up. November 20th. If you haven't signed up by the time this is out, you might want to sign up. We've got some really cool stuff planned.
The holiday party is going to be amazing. And if you aren't signed up yet, you should fucking sign up, because it's going to be one of those things that anytime people haven't come, they have FOMO because it's that fucking good. So sign up. Come to the holiday party.
I am excited about the holiday party.
I'm so excited about the holiday party.
It's every year it's the best thing.
Best, Jerry.
Best thing that we do.
The best.
And so again, the bar's raised, and
we're gonna blow your minds.
You don't want to miss it. Early bird ends. Early bird end was what? October? End of October?
Yes.
October 31st?
Yes.
Halloween?
Oh my God. How are we at Halloween? But here we are. So put her there.
Bub.
Put her there, bub.
Put her there, bub.
Put her there, bub.